holiday about thankfulness. Today we have a list of wonderful speakers from students, faculty, and community. First, we will have Dr. Haddad to talk about the history and significance of the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll also be joined by Sierra for her presentation on the Thanksgiving traditions at her home. And then we will have Angie Moore from our local community to share about how celebrating Thanksgiving with international students. We will also have Rojina, our club ambassador, to share about her Thanksgiving. We will also have a few icebreakers and a Kahoot games to look at. So without further ado, let's invite the first speaker, which is Dr. John Haddad from professor of the American Studies from the School of Humanities to talk about the Pilgrims, parades, and pumpkin pie, how the modern Thanksgiving came to be. Thank you, Dr. Haddad.
All right, thank you, Nawfal. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Here we go. All righty, here we go. So first of all, let me begin by saying special thanks to the global ambassadors for inviting me to this event. And I wish it were an ordinary year where we were in the gallery lounge enjoying, some really good, tasty Thanksgiving food. Now, I know what many of you are thinking, not another boring talk about the Pilgrims, those strange people with belt buckles on their black hats. Well, I do have some good news for you. The title of the presentation is Pilgrims, Parades, and Pumpkin Pie, How the Modern Thanksgiving Came to Be. So it's not all pilgrims, though we will begin with those people who, for some reason, are remembered for putting belt buckles on their hats. But in reality, they didn't look like these silly cartoon sketches. They probably looked more like this. All right, in 1620, so that's exactly 400 years ago, the Pilgrims arrived in Massachusetts hoping to start new lives free of religious persecution. Had they known what they were getting into, they would never have come. The winters are cold up there in New England, and the soil is ungiving. A full half of the 100 pilgrims died from disease and starvation in year one. They needed help in the worst way, and they got it. Early on, the Pilgrims enjoyed good relations with the nearest tribe, the Wampanoags. Now, the Wampanoags taught them how to fish, how to hunt, and how to plant seeds in this soil. The Wampanoags also shared their tricks. They told the Pilgrims to save the heads of fish caught in the ocean. Why? Well, a seed will germinate better if you stick it in the ground alongside of a fish head. It sounds gross, but if it will save your life, you do it. Without Native American assistance, the Pilgrims would have been wiped out. We know, the historians tell us this. So the Pilgrims did survive. They survived the first winter, and in the fall of 1621, they enjoyed a successful harvest. Wishing to give thanks, Pilgrims invited the Wampanoag to a 3-day festival. It was probably a little tense at first. The Pilgrims were down to about 50 people, many of whom were women and children. And Massasoit, the chief of the Wampanoags, he showed up with 100 of his armed soldiers. So the visitors outnumbered the hosts by a 2-to-1 ratio. But we know all was peaceful, and it was apparently a happy occasion. We can't be certain what they ate. We know that Massasoit brought 4 deer to the event. We think there was also corn, cod, a kind of fish, and lobster. This is, after all, the New England coast. And possibly there were wild turkeys. we are more sure of what they didn't eat. There was no pumpkin pie, that didn't exist. There were no potatoes. The potato, as you may know, is from South America and had not yet been introduced to North America. And stuffing, now a staple of every Thanksgiving table, didn't exist either. In a moment, I'll tell you when those Thanksgiving favorites first entered the menu. Well, after this first Thanksgiving, other settlements in New England had what they called days of Thanksgiving at harvest time. But these were not official holidays, and they were not sustained over many years. So really, Thanksgiving came and went. There was no official holiday after the Pilgrims. Let's fast forward 150 years. Now we are in the Revolutionary War. Most colonies celebrated a day of Thanksgiving during the war, but different colonies celebrated on different days, so it wasn't organized. There was no national holiday because there was really no nation yet. Anyway, that was coming. Thanksgiving first went national in 1789. That year, President George Washington proclaimed Thursday, November 26th, to be a day of Thanksgiving. But this is the federal government, and as you know from watching the news, there's always division and conflict. The congressmen who believed passionately in states' rights cried foul. They argued that the president lacks the power to declare national holidays. Only states can do that. A debate raged, but Washington prevailed. A Thursday in late November was set aside as a day to give thanks. But Thanksgiving still had not become a federal holiday to be repeated every year. And it still lacked traditions. Like, what exactly were you supposed to do on this day? Just make a prayer? No one knew. One person made all that happen. If you remember one name from this talk, please remember this one: Sarah Josepha Hale. Sarah Josepha Hale was a force. In 1830, she authored a famous nursery rhyme, which some of you probably grew up with, Mary Had a Little Lamb. That comes from her. But more importantly, she edited an extremely popular magazine for women called The Lady's Book. And one day in 1827, Sarah was reading the diary, the published diary of one of the first Pilgrims, and she was moved to tears. Oh, their perseverance in the face of hardship, their strong religious faith. Oh, the generous Wampanoag tribe. This, she said to herself, this was an American story. She decided then and there to make Thanksgiving her personal mission. She waged a 30-year letter writing campaign to politicians trying to make Thanksgiving a federal holiday. And in her magazine, The Lady's Book, she started publishing recipes for foods that she imagined might have been served way back in 1621. So here's where we get turkey, cranberry sauce, pumpkin pie, and stuffing. So these foods that she first wrote about, they have remained on the Thanksgiving menu from that time forward to the present. In short, it was Sarah Josepha Hale who taught Americans how to do it. But still, not a federal holiday. Just because Sarah Josepha Hale is writing letters and publishing articles in her journal doesn't mean it's a holiday. One more step. Let's go now to the 1860s, the Civil War. North against South in a bloody conflict in which more than 600,000 soldiers would perish. Sarah Josepha Hale started writing Abraham Lincoln, the president, directly. Now more than ever, she says, We need a national holiday to unify this war-torn country. Now, we don't know what Lincoln, I just imagine that he says, okay, okay, but stop writing all these letters. He agreed. And in 1863, Lincoln declared a Thanksgiving holiday for the last Thursday in November. And the presidents who followed him continued the tradition, and thus Thanksgiving became a federal holiday. All right, I'm going to close with one final tradition. I talked about the food and the history. One final tradition. My favorite thing to do on Thanksgiving, along with, eating and watching football or something and spending time with family, is to watch the Macy's Day Parade, which is always on in the morning of Thanksgiving Day on NBC. Well, when did that whole thing start? In the 1920s, a strong economy generated a lot of shopping. Department stores flourished in the 20s. One in particular, Macy's, became the largest department store in the world. And Macy's executives, they looked at that calendar and they saw the potential of this holiday, Thanksgiving, that was well positioned 4 weeks before Christmas. They said, we could use this holiday. Well, to advertise the start of the Christmas shopping season, Macy's organized the first Thanksgiving Day Parade in 1924. That year, Santa Claus, you see him there in the lower left, Santa Claus led the parade, and as many as 1 million people watched or participated. I say participated because back then there weren't any rules, and people happily left the sidewalk and joined the procession. Boy, did they walk. Planners in 1924 overestimated the stamina of the marchers. They forced everyone to march 6.5 miles, weaving around the Manhattan streets. In the 1950s, that's when NBC purchased the right to broadcast the parade across the country. And to render the event suitable for TV, planners shortened the parade to a much more manageable 2.5 miles. And I think that's what it is now, about that. But the biggest change was that giant balloons, some of which you see here, which looked great on TV, those became the stars of the parade. All right, guys, I've covered pilgrims, pumpkin pie, and parades, but I've actually left out probably the most important thing. Because really, Thanksgiving is about something else. It's about family. It's a time for family members, many of whom live thousands of miles apart from one another, to come together. That is why the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is always the biggest travel day of the year. Speaking here both in the number of people flying on airplanes and the number of people driving in cars. Now, that might be a little bit different this year because it's a peculiar year, but ordinarily that Wednesday is the biggest travel day of the year. Thanksgiving is also a time to reach out to others. Many families identify someone who might be alone on this holiday, and they invite them to their own feast. That's the spirit of Thanksgiving, and I wish you all a wonderful holiday next week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Haddad, for the insightful presentation. Now we know that every year we need to be thankful for Sarah Hill for creating.
That's right.
Yeah. So, okay, next we will have a small Kahoot game. So I will ask my friend Ayuni to share her screen so we can start the game. Ayuni, can you share your screen, please? Okay. Okay. Okay, we have the Kahoot game here. So you guys can join by opening your phone and go to kahoot.it and put in this game pin. It's just a short game to test our knowledge about Thanksgiving from Dr. Haddad's presentation. Okay, we have two people, three people. You can also go to the link in the chat, which thank you, Wendy, put the link there. Kahoot. Okay, we have 6 people. I guess I'll wait until we have about 10 people. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe one more person. Okay, we have 10 people. Is anyone else? Does anyone else want to join? Or I think we can start Ayuni. I'm not joining because I already seen all of the presentation, so that wouldn't be fair. Okay, first question. Wendy, do you want to share the music a bit, maybe? How's the modern Thanksgiving to be? Is it A, pilgrims, B, parades, or mooncakes, and then D, pumpkin pie? So which? Hey, we have everything correct besides the mooncake, because mooncake is for Moon Festival. Okay, next. We have our Professor Zelia as the first one. And then next we have the second question. Pilgrims arrived in 1620 and confronted a beautiful spring. Is it true or false? It's false. Oh, we still have the first one. And then second one, fire starter. Okay, next question. Name the tribe that helped the pilgrims. Is it the, I think I mispronounced this, but Navajo? Is it the Wampanoag? Or is it the Sioux? Or the Apache? The answer is Wampanoag. I wasn't sure if I pronounced that correctly. Okay, we still have Professor Zaliha as the first one, and then Fire Starter second, and Cindy third. But Rojina is on fire. I think Rojina will catch up soon. When is the first Thanksgiving? Is it in winter 1622? Is it in autumn 1621? Autumn 1622 or winter 1620? Hmm. Okay, the answer is autumn 1621, and we have 5 people correct. Okay, we have Firestarter as the first one and Sarah second one. Okay, next. Oh, I think this is a new one. What is served at the traditional Thanksgiving dinner? Is it turkey, lobster, corn, or deer? Which is the ones that is served at a traditional Thanksgiving dinner? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I guess all answers correct, like Dr. Haddad's presentation have mentioned. Okay, we have Sierra as the first place now, and Professor Zelia second. And the next, happened in the 1770s. Was it the Vietnam War? Was it the Civil War? Was it the first Thanksgiving? Or was it the Revolutionary War? Hmm. Okay, it's the Revolutionary War. Because I think it's pretty obvious the Vietnam War wasn't in the 1770. Okay, we still have Sierra as the first place. And we still have 4 more questions. Okay, next question. True or false? Washington proclaimed a day of Thanksgiving on Thursday, November 26, 1799. Was it true or false? It was actually true when we have 5 people correct. Okay, I think, yep, Sierra is still leading the race, and we have Firestarter second. And the turtle person have 7 correct answers, so I guess the turtle is pretty fast. Okay, next question. Thanksgiving wasn't a holiday. Oh, it's a national holiday. Sarah Joseph Hale, Joseph Hale made it happen. Was it true or false? Like I said, we need to thank Sarah Hale every year for Thanksgiving, and we do have 9 people. Correct. Okay. Sarah is still leading, but Firestarter is on fire. Okay, next. The last 2 questions. What could you see during Macy's Thanksgiving parade in 1924? Did you see a Tin Man, or did you see Santa Claus? Did you see Mickey Mouse, or did you see a turkey? It's a I think it's a multi-choice, so you can choose more than one. Yep, all answers are correct. We did see a Tin Man, Santa Claus, Mickey Mouse, and turkey. Okay, last question. Oh, Sierra is leading with 2,000 points. We love virtual Thanksgiving luncheon. Is it true or false? Okay, everybody said true. Okay, so the third goes to Professor Zelia. So second one is Firestarter, and I think we know the first one. And yeah, the first one is Sierra. So congratulations, Sierra, Firestarter, and Zelia. Professor Zelia. Okay, so we go on to the next presentation, which is actually with Sierra. We have Sierra Harvey from Intervarsity Club to share us about the Thanksgiving tradition at her home. Okay, let me share her presentation. Mm, okay, you can start whenever you're ready.
Hey guys, like Nuffle said, well, first of all, I'm in a public space, so I'm sorry if you hear any background noise. My name is Sierra Harvey. I'm a junior here at Penn State Harrisburg, and I'm studying secondary social studies education. So, I mean, if I didn't win, I would have been very worried. Like, that is going to be my job later in life. um, but you can go to the next slide. Okay. So I just want to preference with 2 things: Friendsgiving, and the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special, which we will later reference. And I just wanted to put these in here as a reference to kind of what my Thanksgiving is, just because it tends to be a lot of friends and family who come and we eat pretty traditional foods, not the actual traditional pilgrim foods, the ones that became later traditional, like the pumpkin pie and stuff like that. So you can go to the next slide then. Okay, so of course I included a little bit of history, um, but like Dr. Haddad said, the Pilgrims came to escape to have religious freedom, gain land, escape the monarchy, etc. And it was a 3-day harvest festival that we now call Thanksgiving. And yeah, Abraham Lincoln declared it a national holiday to kind of unite the nation after the Civil War. You can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so my three traditions are family, food, and football. Next slide. So family, I have two pictures. Unfortunately, lost my phone, so I only have two pictures of Thanksgiving, guys, in all the years that I've been a part of it. But the one is my dog, and the other one is with my sister. And so our family always gathers together. So I have 7 people who live in our house. So it's us and then all of our friends that we invite. And Thanksgiving's a smaller holiday at my house. Christmas is kind of a bigger one where we have more people who come. But usually we invite a lot of our relatives, especially our relatives who don't have other places to go, or we have friends and neighbors who come who are out of state who are like, well, we can't travel this year. So we usually have about 12 people, and we have um, just like my grandma makes it every year, and the whole house smells amazing. It's always her job to make it, and um, the joke at my house is one year it will be my mom's Thanksgiving because our grandparents live with us. It's always my grandma's Thanksgiving. It's always her. She's always making the food, but it's okay. Next slide. Okay, so the food. This is obviously the best part of Thanksgiving, and I want to preference my favorite is the stuffing, but I couldn't find a picture that had it in it that was like big enough, so that isn't on here. But you have your staples, which is the turkey, cranberries, biscuits, gravy, green beans of any fashion, and potatoes. And those are always at my Thanksgiving table, and it's what my family always makes. But then we kind of make Thanksgiving a potluck at my house. So other people bring other things. So my uncle always brings some sort of oyster casserole thing, and it's actually really good. Um, Mac and cheese is usually there. Um, we always have broccoli with like cheese over it because it's the only way my brother will eat vegetables. So we have to make sure he's getting his greens in. Um, but yeah, this is like just the traditional food. And of course, you have so many desserts. Like the dessert table is always the biggest, and no one has enough room to eat them. So, you always come back for seconds. Next slide. Okay, so entertainment. Like I said, my family typically watches football, but some of my family will go Black Friday shopping. I am not one of those people at all. Wait and do Cyber Monday. And then the other thing in the middle, I have the crudes. So around Thanksgiving, a lot of times a lot of movies come out. And so my family likes movies. We tend to go to the ones that happen on Christmas, but because this year's a little different, maybe we'll like order one of the new movies in. And the cruise is the one that's coming out on Thanksgiving. And then, of course, the Thanksgiving Day football schedule. That is basically my nap time. So after we've ate, I take a nap and everyone else watches football. Yeah, if no one knows, that is the actual schedule this year, just in case you haven't checked it out yet. Next slide. I hope the Steelers game will be good. um, Yeah, so I just want oh yeah, so Thanksgiving Day parade, I always watch that in the morning as everyone's busy kind of getting everything ready and everyone's coming. I just stay out of the way and I watch the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Day parade and I love it. I love to watch all the singers, the Rockettes are always on, and then they always show some Broadway musicals. So yeah, that's always really great to watch and just is so festive and it reminds me like, oh my goodness, Christmas is here soon, so it's just exciting. And then my last slide, just preferences, what Thanksgiving is. And it's just a time to remember and rejoice in all the things that enrich your life. And that is family, and that is food, and that is entertainment. That's all the things that we should be thankful for. And like Dr. Haddad said, it's a time just to reach out to people and remember that, we're all here together and we should be celebrating that. So thank you all for listening to my presentation. Oh, is the Croods good? I'll have to watch that. I just saw that, Wendy.
It's great. I love it.
Good. Thank you, Sierra, for your wonderful presentation. Yeah, thank you for sharing your personal pictures, even though I'm sorry you lost your phone, but it was a cute dog. And thank you for sharing your picture with your sister too. Yeah, so we continue on to our next session, which is icebreaker. I would like to invite Wendy for the technical stuff.
Sure, thanks, Nawful. So I'm not sure if any of you have done Poll Everywhere, but we're going to try one, and we're going to try to do a word cloud here. So there are two ways that you can do this. I think Nawful is going to put the link in the chat. So you can click on that link and enter your name and then submit something you're thankful for. Or you can go on your phone, and if you text what's there on the screen to the number 37607, you can join. And once you're joined, then you can also submit things that you're thankful for. So go ahead and take time to enter in one of those two ways. And we are going to see what is on your hearts and minds this Thanksgiving season that you're thankful for. Feel free to submit more than one word. You can submit several times if you'd like, if you have a lot of things that come to your mind. And if you see the words grow larger, that means more people are submitting the same thing. So most of us currently are thankful for family and friends. Nice, I'm seeing a lot of neat ones. Nice submissions, everybody. Faith, new cats. I'm wondering who has new cats. I'm guessing that's Emily. Thankful for the pandemic. Interesting. 2020 has definitely been a unique time, and we can certainly be thankful for the challenges as well. Technology, yes. School, a break. Wow, you guys are thankful for a lot of things. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, there is our word cloud, and I'm going to be able to take a screenshot of it here, and we'll be able to include that as part of our Thanksgiving event that we shared together. Thank you all so much for participating.
Okay, thank you, Wendy, for the icebreaker. I see we are grateful for a lot of things, even for the pandemic, because we're home and with our family and friends too. And next, we have a presentation from our community, which is by Angie Moore from the International Friendship Community. I actually participated with them a lot of times, even for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I did have a lot of good experience. So yeah, so let's invite Angie Moore.
Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks Nawful for inviting me today. I'm Angie, again from the International Friendship Community, and I'm so happy to be here because Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I love it so much, and a lot of the reasons I love it is because of you guys. I love sharing Thanksgiving with people, especially people who have never experienced it before, and being able to remember and reflect on all the things that we have to be thankful for together. So for about 4 or 5 years, it's been our tradition to open our home for others. I think you can go the next slide. Either international students or friends who might not have family in the area. And we all experience it together. I make all the traditional Thanksgiving foods, again, traditional, modern traditional, not pilgrim traditional. Although lobster sounds really good. And then sometimes our guests will bring foods from their countries. So we, of course, always have the very traditional turkey and all the amazing side dishes. But along with those, we've had biryani from India and keema from Pakistan and chapatis from the Congo. No deer, Dr. Haddad, no deer, although some, extended family, they do hunt. So who knows? I'm not ruling it out. Maybe someday. I think you can go to the next slide, Nafal. So here's some of those foods. I was looking for a picture of our whole food buffet because it's always an enormous amount. But I couldn't find one. So here's, of course, the turkey. And my daughter, this was a few years ago when she was littler, but her favorite job is to help make the stuffing. And then, of course, always lots of pies for dessert. And next slide shows some of the activities that we have happening that day. Lots of different things. We always have some kind of weird photo booth set up with props to take fun pictures. There's usually a puzzle happening in one of the rooms, and definitely some Thanksgiving charades. So maybe some of you guys even recognize some of the people in these pictures. Hopefully these people don't know they're actually going to be in my presentation today, so you'll have to let them know if you know them. As we all sit down to eat, usually there's enough of us to have 2 or 3 tables of people. Everybody first says something that we're thankful for. We all go around, and that's kind of one of the big traditions is we all share some things that we're thankful for. And then we pray and thank God for all of the blessings that he's given us. And then we eat. And after dinner, you can go to the next slide. We always play some rounds of Thanksgiving bingo, and it's a silly tradition, but it's just become one that we do every year with everyone, and everyone's yelling out bingo and getting prizes when they win. And then later, when we're in our food comas, we might just sit around and watch a movie, or if we're feeling energetic, play a board game, or some people might even go outside and play soccer or football. And the next slide is one of my favorite Thanksgiving traditions is our tablecloth. And our tablecloth serves as a guest book. So every year, everyone who's there signs it in marker, and then I stitch over it to make it more permanent. But it's really fun to look back and remember every year who was there, and we think of different stories from that year. And of course, like the kids have signed with their handprints, and so it's fun to see how much they've grown in the past years. Let's see, I think our next Thanksgiving tradition actually begins the Christmas season, which is the next slide. The weekend after Thanksgiving, we usually decorate our house for Christmas, which includes going to cut down our Christmas tree. And this is something that especially we love to do with first timers who maybe don't celebrate Christmas or haven't in the past, or at least haven't ever gone and cut down their own tree. So even though it's not really a Thanksgiving tradition, it kind of is all the same weekend. So it all goes together. And next slide. I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving this year, and looking ahead. and also reflecting back on the difficult and strange year that 2020 has been. Even Thanksgiving has been affected. We typically will have around 20 people, and this year we're keeping it much smaller because of COVID concerns. We can't have as many people as we'd like, but just as a word of encouragement today, my encouragement to you is that it's important to still be able to look beyond all that hard, yucky stuff from this year and focus on the blessings in our lives and everything we can be thankful for. And I think our last slide, as you may already know, this year has been different for us in the international friendship community with trying to plan activities while at the same time keeping health and safety being really important. We'd still like to try to be able to provide a Thanksgiving experience for students who are local and interested in this. So if you are one of those students, if you just scan the QR code with your phone, that will take you to a form to fill out that you have an interest in joining a family for Thanksgiving this year. And we will do our very best to match you up with a family. So that's it from me. Thanks so much, guys, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you so much, Angie. So yeah, you guys need to be connected with the international friendship community, because for me it felt like a second home actually. Like I really miss like the communal spaces with international friendship community. It felt like yesterday, like Angie picked me up from campus to go to the fall fest, and I really miss it a lot. So yeah, thank you so much, Angie. So we continue on to our video, which is a video from Snoopy about Thanksgiving dinner. And after this, Rojina will explain what it means. So enjoy the video. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I think it's a Thanksgiving classic. Now we should invite our last speaker, but not least, Rojina Razlansari, an Iranian American student and also global ambassador. And she will share us about her family's Thanksgiving and maybe explain us what does it do previous video me. Okay, let's invite Rojina.
Thank you, Nawfal, for the introduction. That video was awesome. I love Snoopy and all the Charlie Brown like specials that they have over the years. So you saw like the turkey, the pumpkin pie. Something that I don't think was explained yet is the at the very end they have that like bone. That's called a wishbone. So you find it in the turkey, and then like two people will kind of try to break it. Whoever gets the bigger piece gets their wish. So I guess that little bird in the video got his wish. So as Nawfal said, I am from Iran. So I'll be going over a little bit of the history of like Thanksgiving in Iran. So we don't really have like exactly Thanksgiving. The closest festival that we have is called Mehragan. It is known as the Festival of Autumn. The word meh in Farsi, which is Persian, the language, it means kindness. So words with the prefix meh usually mean like kindness, happiness. So we have a word called mehrabun, which means happy or joyful. It's also the name of the 7th month of the year, which is where the festival gets its name. So it's celebrated on the 7th month of the year and also the 196th day of the year. And it's the festival that complements Nowruz, which is celebrated in the spring. I know Global Ambassadors has done some like Nowruz luncheons and things like that. So it's similar to that. So I'll go over a little bit of the history. The origins of this festival come from the religion Zoroastrianism, and it's an old Persian tradition. So Persia was what Iran was called before it was called Iran. So it's a very old tradition. It encompasses the Zoroastrian teachings of good words, good deeds, and good thought. And it emphasizes the values of friendship, family, affection, love, which is very similar to Thanksgiving. It originally was celebrated due to like harvest cycles. So there was one at the end of autumn, the beginning of winter, which is Mehragan, and then the other one would have been the end of winter and beginning of spring or summer, which was Nowruz. And this is when they would kind of like back in the day, they would harvest all their crops and things like that. And it's celebrated for a full 6 days. And in the Zoroastrian religion, it like signifies the goddess of light's triumph over evil and darkness. This is symbolized by the image of a lion over a bull, which is this bottom picture right here. This top picture is the symbol for the Zoroastrian religion. But unfortunately, it was banned by the Islamic government because Zoroastrianism is not really practiced anymore. It's a pagan religion, and people don't really take it as seriously nowadays. But historically, it has a lot of similar ideas to Thanksgiving and autumn and just like harvest, things like that. Go to the next one. So here's some pictures of like table settings that people put out for Mehragan. So the table is set up very colorfully, as you can see here. There are a lot of things that you can put out, but some of the most common ones are like fruit, rose water, sweets. You can see like they really put an emphasis on like pomegranate, there's grapes, apples, lots of flowers, almonds, pistachios. Some people also put out like silver coins, frankincense. And then sometimes people in the past, they would like kill a sheep and eat it. But that like kind of stopped around the 1900s. And then at the end of the 6 days, people will light bonfires and fireworks and have a huge dinner. Bonfires are really common in Iranian festivals. Yeah, so that's something that they do at the end of it. So as I said, it's not really celebrated anymore. My family does not celebrate it. We do celebrate Thanksgiving though. So I have kind of a small family here in the US. So Thanksgiving is a time where we can gather together and catch up. I usually go like visit my uncle and aunt, and then we'll all make food together. They'll invite their other friends, and we'll just generally have a good time. We have all the traditional foods like the turkey, the corn, cranberry sauce, green beans, but we also add some Iranian foods and dishes and like desserts into the mix. So the nice thing about this holiday is that everyone can add their own culture and traditions as well. And just to reiterate, the purpose of Thanksgiving in the US is to gather with others, give thanks to what you have, and just be, very loving, which again is very similar to what people did in Mehregan. A lot of holidays and festivals are like similar between European, US, like Indian, Middle Eastern, like holidays have a lot of similarity. So it's interesting to see like the same ideas throughout all these different traditions. So happy Mehregan, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you everyone for coming and listening to my presentation.
Thank you so much, Rojina, for the wonderful presentation. I think it's an interesting perspective, like through like similar traditions you guys have in Iran and how you guys celebrate it here in the US. Okay, so we are in the last session of the presentation. So I think I will invite Wendy for the upcoming event. I mean, yeah, only one event left for this semester. So yeah, I'll invite Wendy to share about our upcoming last event for this semester.
Sure. Just so even though we are going remote tomorrow and have the break, still join us on December 3rd for our last event of this semester. This is the Global Citizenship Workshop, and Dr. Tole from our campus will be sharing with us. So we're very excited for this one. Make sure you reconnect with us on this day. We'd love to invite all of you back and learn about global citizenship. It's one of my favorite events that we host, so we're really looking forward to it. Thanks, Nawful.
Thank you, Wendy. Just to add, I personally know Dr. Tole, and she's a really great person because she's done great research, and I think and she actually went to Turkey and to the refugee camps in Turkey and finished her research there. So she has a lot of experience in global citizenship. So this is something not to miss out. Okay, so I guess it's the end of our event. If you guys don't have any questions, if you do, you can put it in the chat or unmute yourself. But if not, thank you for coming for this event. Thank you for engaging with us. I hope you guys enjoyed our event. And this event will be also recorded and uploaded to YouTube for you to see again. So yeah, thank you so much for coming. And thank you for all of our wonderful speakers to share a lot of perspective in Thanksgiving. And I believe everyone learned a lot from today. Okay, thank you so much, guys. You are free to go.